Are we live? Are we live? What's up, everybody? It's Justin. Welcome to Live Ask Me Anything number 61. This is going to be a casual one. So let's see who jumps in this room here. I'm going to make sure everything's recording, but I'm recording this one from my computer, which makes things a little bit easier because I don't have to mess with the phone and not doing the whiteboard or any of that thing because we did a big presentation episode last week called The Soil Will Save Us. We did a big presentation episode the week before that called Stop Being a Tweaker, which is a really good one. So when I do these, like the big presentation ones with the whiteboard and all of that, I like to just kind of take a break every now and then, take a week where we just chill out and go a little bit casual. So this is AMA number 61. There's no title for it. I don't know what we're going to talk about. I got a couple of notes written down because I launched that new AMA feature on the I Am Clovis website, which is ama.iamclovis.com, where you guys can leave me your questions, your Ask Me Anything questions that I'll answer here for you. So I got a few really good ones from there. Then I grabbed a couple of them that people wrote down. I just responded to people directly. But then some of these I grabbed because I think they're really great, really valuable to talk about here on this episode. So we're going to do that. So like I said, like I told you guys in the live groups, if you're members of I Am Clovis or members of the Clovis Academy, I got nothing prepped for you tonight. So this is your episode. Clovis is growing very, very quickly. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Justin Nault. I am the CEO, founder of Clovis, building a healthy life together. But if you're here by now, you probably know who I am or have probably consumed some of my content or maybe am part of one of my groups or something. Awesome. Cool. So let's say what's up to everybody. Kayla, what's up? Tammy, Laura, Christine, Sally, Judy, Jessica. Awesome. So, the only thing I don't like when I'm on the computer, for some reason, it doesn't display the same way when I do a Facebook Live from the computer. Trying to figure that out. Not really quite sure why that is. But anyway, it's totally cool. A couple of pieces of housekeeping. If you're a member of I Am Clovis, if you are an I Am Clovis member, I launched the first ever Google Hangout last night. And it was a huge success. And I'm going to do it again. But there is a change to how I'm going to do things. So I initially allowed 12 people that were members of I Am Clovis to sign up for this. 12 people did sign up. 6 people showed up, and it could not have gone better that 6 people showed up. That was a really good thing. I really think a 12-person room would be next to impossible to manage. People wouldn't have the amount of time it takes to really go deep on some of these issues. So I was getting some really, really good questions, some really, really good details as to the daily lives, what these people's daily lives look like. And I was able to really, really go deep and talk about things. And then as the conversation progresses, a new detail might pop up that person didn't know that they should have given me early on. I'm like, oh, wait a second, light bulb moment, and then we could adjust. So I really had time to go deep with all the people who were in the Google Hangout last night. So going forward, I'm probably going to cap those Google Hangouts at 6 people. I think that's the way I'm going to do it. 6 was great. It was really manageable. So I'm probably going to cap it at 6. And the Google sign up and all that will go up next month. I'll plan a date for that, let you guys know when it is, and then sign up quickly because there's only going to be 6 spots this time. So it's definitely going to fill up. And it's going to be awesome. But I really, really enjoyed it. Another piece of housekeeping, if you guys haven't heard this from the video I did earlier today, I did this video in I Am Clovis. So if you're in Clovis Academy, not in I Am Clovis, you probably didn't see this live video this morning, but I am going to be launching a new podcast series. Not a new podcast, just a new podcast series. So if you subscribe to the Perfect Paleo podcast on iTunes or Stitcher or Overcast or Spotify or whatever, you know that I tend to do Justin episodes. I have guest interviews. I just launched a badass episode with the one and only Abel James, the fat burning man. That's on the Perfect Paleo podcast. You can go to clovis.show/Abel to check that out. Clovis.show/Abel, ABEL. So I do the Justin episodes. I do the guest interviews. I do the AMAs. I do the In Case You Missed It episodes. And now I'm going to be launching an entire new podcast series or segment, I guess you could call it. And that's going to be nothing but testimonies from you, my Clovis clients. It's going to feature you guys and feature your stories. I think it's going to be a really powerful way to help people understand what makes Clovis different, what makes Clovis stand out from other programs, the customization aspect, the tweaks and changes that I make, all the information that I gather from you, what makes it so different from every other yo-yo roller coaster diet you've ever tried, right? I think the best way to get that information out there is through firsthand client testimonies, people that have been with Clovis for 3 months or 6 months or 9 months or a year or whatever. I think that's going to be really, really powerful. So if you want to be involved in that, if you are an I Am Clovis member and you want to tell your story, if you have a significant transformation story to tell, just email me, justin@iamclovis.com. Email me, let me know that you want to be a part of that new podcast series. And I'm going to work on scheduling everybody, giving you further instructions. I really want to do a lot of these. I mean, I'll do 300 of them if you guys want to do it, right? So I'm going to do as many of these as possible. Maybe I'll release like one a week or something like that and just make that a normal thing. We're going to do like one client story a week or something. So let me know if you're interested in that. Justin@iamclovis.com. What else we got going on in the comments? Annika, what's up? That was an awesome episode. It was so different hearing men talk about subjects other than sports. Yes, lovely. That's true. I am not like most men in that regard. I really don't care that much about sports. Like, really not much. It's fun. I was talking to my dad about this the other night. It's like, yeah, I like the Patriots. I grew up as a Patriots fan. Like, I watched the Super Bowl when I was in Thailand. But like, if they lose, my day isn't ruined, right? I don't really know. I don't get guys like that. I can't connect on that level. You're not on the team. You're not an athlete. You're not throwing the passes. You don't even know Tom Brady. Never even met the dude. Chill out a little bit, right? What else you got? Yeah, the Abel conversation. I had a feeling it was going to go that way. For those of you that don't know, we don't even talk about nutrition at all. I don't think we talk about nutrition like once in the whole thing. We might like mention it as like a stepping stone for overall health. Yeah, I think I talk about the Life After Success episode and how health is just a prerequisite for the rest of your life, right? But really, it's like you're sitting at a kitchen table with, like I am right now, sitting at my kitchen table in my house. It's like you're sitting at a kitchen table with Abel and I. By the way, you can totally tell that I'm a dude because when I go live from this angle, I'm like, oh, this is my bar. Like, there's all my alcohol and a globe, right? Because every dude has a globe. And I still have a pumpkin from Halloween. And then I have all my alcohol paraphernalia. Oh, and this animal behind me that I shot. Welcome to my house, everybody. I love these kind of casual AMAs. All right, so does anybody have any questions? You guys want to jump into questions? You want me to give you some of these questions that were submitted via the new AMA website? You talked about a 5x5 in an episode. What kind of workouts are those? Okay, the best thing for you to do right now is just Google or go to Strong Lifts 5x5. Strong Lifts 5x5 is a powerlifting protocol. That sounds scary to some people. It's really not scary. These big compound powerlifting moves are about the best thing you can do for overall health. Strong Lifts 5x5 kind of meets you where you're at and starts very slow, and then the weight goes up progressively. It's a progressive resistance training powerlifting program. So go to Strong Lifts 5x5, like 5x5.com. I think it's just stronglifts5x5.com. You can go there, check it out. You can email me if you want to talk about it, but it's just a powerlifting protocol. It's probably the best combination of strength and physique that I have ever found. So it tends to be either like you're going to be just a power lifter and try to lift as much as humanly possible. The biggest, most jacked dudes in the world aren't necessarily the strongest guys in the world. Like, I could show you a 300-pound fat guy that could outlift a chiseled bodybuilder any day of the week, So there's that's what I mean by 5x5. It's kind of the in-between of like gaining strength, functional strength, which will improve your life, and building muscle and getting that kind of aesthetic, lean physique that a lot of people are after, right? A lot of women in particular are just terrified of lifting weights for some reason, and it's foolish. Like, I don't want to get bulky. You're not going to get bulky, okay? It's very difficult to get bulky. Very difficult, okay? It's like much harder than you think it is. You're not going to lift your 6-pound weights, 15 times and get bulky. It's just not going to happen. So Strong Lifts 5x5, one of my favorite lifting protocols of all time, probably my favorite all around weightlifting protocol. So check it out. What else we got? I like powerlifting. Yes, me too. What's up, Eric? How you doing, man? Sean's here. Brett's here. Eric's here. Christine, yes, Strong Lifts 5x5 also has an app. The app is wonderful. Download the app, pay for the pro version. Lifetime is like $9.99, and it's amazing. Tracks your lifts for you, tells you how much to go up by, gives you warm-up sets. You have additional accessory moves that you can add, but that's all part of the pro feature. It backs it up to a cloud as well, so if you lose your phone, like you never lose your workouts or anything. It's really, really great. All right, we'll back up to talking about the Abel episode. I know we've been told we need to drink a certain amount of water. What ratio do you think is necessary? Yes, this is one of those things that there's not a lot of scientific data for why the general consensus of how much water to drink is there. So really, in recent years, it's been revealed that most of your hydration is actually regulated by electrolytes. So a lot of times when people are dehydrated, it's actually an electrolyte deficiency. You guys know this. I'm a huge, I scream it from the rooftops how much you need to be taking salt shots. Like Redmond sea salt, I supplement Redmond sea salt every day. People have asked me this recently, some clients that are like, hey, I'm multiple weeks in, do I still need to be doing salt shots? Yeah, 100%. The salt shots are every day. I start every single day with Redmond sea salt, right? This is really, really, really important. And if you guys want to go deeper on this and not just hear it from me, you need to check out the book, The Salt Fix. The Salt Fix dives into the science, dives into all the nonsense BS science that doesn't exist, saying that hypertension is caused by sodium, right? It's just nonsense, but still the AHA doesn't change their recommendations. The amount of sodium they tell you to take in puts you at a very high risk of cardiac event. But anyway, long story short, the hydration issue, it's mostly electrolytes that regulate your hydration. So the age-old recommendation is get half your body weight in ounces. So let's just say you're a 200-pound person. You probably want to drink a minimum of 100 ounces of water in a day. That said, it might not be completely necessary. I mean, it's not going to hurt you. It's probably a good way to cover all your bases to get half your body weight in ounces. But another thing that people do, I see this in the bodybuilding world a lot, and it's a little frustrating, is they think that they want their urine to be clear. They're like, oh, if my pee is clear, I'm super, super hydrated. Well, you're overhydrated at that point and you're flushing electrolytes from your system. So you're actually dehydrating yourself. So to give an example, if you were to drink like a couple gallons of water and you had 0 electrolytes in your system, you could kill yourself. You could actually die from drinking water without electrolytes, right? So it's kind of interesting if you're just hyper loading water, and sometimes bodybuilders will do this because they're trying to cut weight or whatever in the week before leading up to a competition or whatever. Then they're going to stop water intake at least 24 hours prior to the competition. There's a lot of things there. I do it with fighters sometimes, where my fighters don't really have to do it because they cut weight so well. But anyway, long story short, half your body weight in ounces seems to be the general consensus of like a minimum for water intake. And I'm totally cool with that. Just don't fall into any of the silly stuff of like, you want your urine to be clear, any of that. You really don't need to do that. But electrolytes are every bit as important as water, every single bit, not 60-40, not 30-70, like literally 50-50. You need to be getting electrolytes every day. And the vast majority of human beings are not doing that. They think they're hydrated, but they think they're dehydrated, but they're actually dealing with an electrolyte deficiency. I take salt every day and my doctor took me off my blood pressure meds. That is from Judy. I'm going to read that again. I take salt every day and my doctor took me off of my blood pressure meds. There's a great AMA that I did on this called Blood Pressure, Salt, and Sex. I think it's AMA, I don't know the number, so don't quote me, but go to clovis.show, just search for blood pressure, and you can find that episode. All right, so you guys think of some questions and hit me here. Remember, while I'm here, you want to take full advantage of this. You don't want me to sign off this Facebook Live and have you guys be like, oh man, there's that question I wanted to ask him, right? So I'm going to read you a couple of these. So one of them that I thought was really cool that we can go over is a woman wrote to me. And here, I can just read it to you actually. What specifically should I have my doctor order in a hormone panel to get an idea of where I am? So this is somebody that's just 2 weeks into the Clovis protocol. And they're just like, hey, I am a huge fan of blood work. I do blood work all the time. I do quarterly blood work. If something is weird or wonky, I'll do additional blood work if I feel like I need to. That's really where all the answers lie, right? Blood work, urine, all these things. Like it's best to quantify these things. So wonderful. She's 2 weeks in and wants to do a hormone panel, which is fantastic. So a really good company that does this, Wellness FX, I think has a women's health panel. The one that I went to that I used for years prior to, now that I have a really good functional medicine medical doctor here in town, he orders my blood work for me. But prior to that, I would use SpectraCell. And with SpectraCell, I believe I would just walk into any lab test now and get the blood draw there. So you can check out SpectraCell, SpectraCell. I think that they have a full hormone panel. I'm pretty sure Wellness FX has like a full-blown female hormone panel. And there's so many things that you want to test that aren't going to happen. Like if you go to your normal doc and say like, hey, can you test my hormones? They might test like, TSH and vitamin D, or do like a thyroid panel that's not complete, or test your estrogen and your testosterone, right? Like you're really going to want to test. You want testosterone, you want estradiol, you want progesterone, you want FSH, you want your LH, your luteinizing hormone, you want TSH, you want free T3, you want reverse T3, you want T4, you want free T4. I always recommend vitamin D. You want to know what your vitamin D levels are. Inflammation is an important one. I like people to test C-reactive protein. And then you can just get like a comprehensive metabolic panel, which will actually test you for things like electrolytes. It's going to test like your fluid balance, kidney function, liver function, all those things. So someone should take what I just said and turn it into a list. Or maybe I'll do that in the show notes. But yeah, you really want to get a comprehensive panel. This has been happening nonstop in Clovis. It's really driving me nuts. And I want to be clear here. This is not you guys' fault. It's not my client's fault. It's mainstream's fault, right? People keep sending me their cholesterol panels, and they call them a cholesterol panel and they send it to me. And it's like HDL, total, LDL, total, non-HDL, total cholesterol. And that's it. And they're like, my doctor wants to put me on a statin. Like, look, my cholesterol is 209 or whatever. My doctor wants to put me on a statin. And I have to break the news to them of like, this was a useless blood test. There was no reason for you to do this. I can't do anything with this. And many of you guys in Clovis know this, that I have a genetic malfunction that my body doesn't clear LDL particles well. Those receptors, I just don't clear cholesterol particles the way that I need to. That's a genetic defect, right? There's something weird going on with my genetics. Now, as a result, because of sky high LDL particle numbers, I have literally sat in the same room. I've been analyzed. I have worked one-on-one and talked to some of the best lipidologists in the country. Now, these lipidologists are exactly what it sounds like. Lipids, fats, right? They're cholesterol experts. Odds are your doctor is not a lipidologist. If your doctor orders you a cholesterol test and it does not include particle numbers, you should not be working with that doctor for cholesterol. Now, I've been known in the past to say, fire your doctor, get a new doctor, this and that. If you want to know about cholesterol, go to a lipidologist, right? It's like asking a normal MD for nutrition advice when they're not a nutritionist, right? If your doctor says, we're going to test your cholesterol, and they get you a cholesterol panel that does not include particle number, they never need to give you another word of advice about cholesterol ever again, because they have exposed themselves as clueless on that particular topic. Does that make sense? So people keep sending me these cholesterol panels. One, I'm not a doctor, so I can't give medical advice. I'm not a doctor. I don't pretend to be a doctor. I've never said I'm a doctor. None of what I say has ever or will ever be medical advice, okay? But people send me these cholesterol panels from these doctors, and I can't even give them a word of advice about it. I just can't. It doesn't make any sense. There's no reason. That doctor wasted your money. Even though it's probably covered by insurance, you probably had to pay a little bit of a copay or money or whatever, right? But that's the test that's covered by insurance. They order it, and it simply wastes your money. So this is another thing that I find in the functional medicine versus conventional medicine, where I'm just like, everybody thinks they're saving money because they have insurance. And, well, my copay, man, it's coming out of your paycheck every week. You're paying for nonsense. If you really were to compare apples to apples, particularly in effectiveness of treatment, I really think you're going to save money just having like a catastrophic plan in case you get hit by a bus, and then paying out of pocket for like a functional medicine doctor. This is absolutely critical. I think that, and I have a question coming up here about pregnancy where I talk about it, and I think it's really important, this functional medicine thing. What else we got? Oh, Eric, AMA number 42, blood pressure, salt, and sex. Awesome. What's your take on those that say we don't need more than 40 grams protein because any protein that can't... I'm going to read this because it's so foolish. I know it's not you saying it, Amy, so I'm not calling you foolish, but just I'm going to explain this in a second. What's your take on those that say we don't need more than 40 grams protein because any protein that can't be used by muscles and tissues is converted into glucose in the liver by gluconeogenesis? This is a person that doesn't fully understand gluconeogenesis, right? This is one of those words in the keto community that people latch onto and they like to throw at you so they can sound like they know what they're talking about. Okay. So gluconeogenesis, you have to remember, the body doesn't do anything unless it's basically triggered or told to do so, right? So this is where like fasting comes in. Why is fasting so wonderful? Why does fasting appear to be a wonder drug for just about everything? Well, because you're sending a signal to the body, right? Once your digestive system says, okay, we don't have to focus on this anymore. Wow, we haven't eaten in this much time. We don't have to focus on this anymore. Or we need amino acids. So we're going to go out and we're going to eat some of our own cells. We're going to metabolize some of our own proteins, et cetera, right? So gluconeogenesis. I'll give you a great example of this. I did a 109-hour fast recently, and well, in the summertime, so months ago now. And I broke the 109-hour fast after getting in a car accident, blah, 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 blah. But the test that I did was I wanted to show people kind of how gluconeogenesis works. Gluconeogenesis works when there's a demand on the body, okay? So generally speaking, if the body needs glucose, then if it needs, literally requires glucose, that means something glycolytic is happening, right? So if I'm doing an all-out sprint, or I'm fighting MMA, or I'm doing a max effort Olympic lift, like a snatch or a CrossFit WOD or something like that, right? That requires glucose. That's called a glycolytic activity, meaning that it burns glycogen. So it'll strip glycogen from the muscles. It'll put free-floating glucose into the bloodstream that can then be used by the cells to create ATP, right? But it does this when a demand is placed on it. So there's this weird thing that people do in the keto world where they're like, if you eat a bunch of protein, the body is just going to convert it into glucose and it's going to be stored as fat or something. The body's not going to take protein, convert it into glucose, spit it into your bloodstream, unless the body is saying, I need glucose. Holy crap, I need glucose right now. The best way to explain this, right? This is going to be the most dumbed down version of this ever, right? The most dumbed down version that I've probably ever said of this. I'm probably going to get lambasted by people who think they know biochemistry or whatever, but I'm making this as simple as possible for you guys to understand. If you eat mostly protein, your body is going to look like mostly protein. See what I'm saying? If you eat mostly fat and carbohydrates, your body is going to look like fat and carbohydrates. Okay? So fat and carbohydrates are energy. That's why I think of protein as its own macronutrient and energy as the second macronutrient, fat and glucose. These can be stored as triglycerides, right? The combination of the two is triglycerides. So gluconeogenesis happens when there's a demand placed on the body. So when I did this fast, I wanted to prove this to people. So while I was fasting, every single day, I did some type of intense workout, like really intense workout with zero carbohydrates in my system, actually zero nutrients whatsoever in my system, causing the body to rely on itself. So the first time I tested this, I was over 24 hours fasted at that point, which means I'd already depleted liver glycogen and all those things because I'm low carb anyway, right? So I went and trained jujitsu, tested blood glucose before jujitsu, tested blood glucose after jujitsu with really hard rolling. For those of you that don't know rolling, I was literally live action fighting for an hour, right? So the blood glucose level on the back end of that workout was much, much higher. Well, how do you explain that? My blood glucose just went off the charts through the roof, right? But I didn't take in any carbohydrates. I didn't take in any protein. I didn't eat anything. When there is a demand placed for glucose, the body will create glucose. That is what gluconeogenesis is for. Now, gluconeogenesis generally occurs using the amino acids inside of your own body, like glycogen, let's say. Glycogen is stored in the muscles. Glycogen is stored in your liver cells. Average person can store, 300 or 400 grams in their muscles, in their skeletal muscle, and average person can store probably 60 to way maximum 100 grams of glycogen in the liver, right? That's what glycogen is for. Glycogen sits in your body. It's stored there for a reason, for the process of gluconeogenesis, right? So the idea that the body is just going to start converting protein into glucose for no apparent reason, particularly in an average sedentary person whose glycogen levels are never depleted, why would the body need to do that, right? So gluconeogenesis happens with a demand placed on the body. And a great example of this is if you go check out the Keto Gains guys. The website is keto, KETOGAINS. So Keto Gains is a great example. They follow more of like a 30% protein, 30% daily protein approach, where the keto community is like, you got to be 20% daily calories from protein or less, or you're going to deal with gluconeogenesis. Like these bodybuilder guys, they're literally bodybuilding on a keto diet, right? And they're all for high protein and they're still burning fat like crazy. It doesn't knock them out of ketosis. It's just these people that chase ketones, right? When you chase ketone, you want to be in deep ketosis, deep ketosis. Protein will knock you out of deep ketosis. Yes, sure, it can, but you don't need to be in deep ketosis all the time to burn fat. That's the thing. There's so many misconceptions around keto. That's why I get driven crazy when people are peeing on keto sticks and mad because they're not in deep ketosis or something, right? All right, what else we got? What about elderberry syrup? Recommendations. Was curious if I make my own and use monk fruit sugar, does it become syrupy like regular sugar? I have no idea. I've never used elderberry for anything other than immune system boosting to get over a cold. Anything baking or homemade anything, I'm rarely the guy to ask about that. Maybe somebody in the academy or something can answer you, but elderberry syrup, I have some in the cabinet. I just use it like if I feel a cold coming on or something, but I've never mixed it with monk fruit, or I've never tried any of that, so I don't know. Zig, if you soak almonds and remove the skin and then put them in a dehydrator to dry out, will enough lectins be removed to eat? Yeah, absolutely. You probably don't even need to dehydrate them. Most of the lectins in almonds exist in the skin. That's why you'll see like the Clovis approved foods list. I recommend Barney brand almond butter. Now people get confused. They see that I recommend Barney brand almond butter and they'll go run out and buy whatever almond butter. I'm like, no, I told you a specific brand because Barney is the only brand I've found that actually uses blanched almonds. So the idea of soaking and stripping the skin is like a blanched almond, right? You can dehydrate them too, I guess, if you want to. But yeah, I mean, just the soaking and removing the skins is probably enough to get rid of the lectins. You ask about lectins quite a bit, Zig. You got a lot of lectins in your life, man. So the thing that I'll say is I'd just pick other nuts. You know, like I love pecans, I love walnuts, I love macadamia nuts. They all taste better to me than almonds do anyway. So, anyway, I like dumbed down. So I hope you like that explanation of gluconeogenesis. But it's really, when someone's trying to lose fat, it simply doesn't make sense to tell them to eat just endless amounts of fat and limit their protein intake. That's the thing. I've been screaming from the rooftops for over a year that Clovis is not keto. If you're trying to get rid of body fat, it doesn't make sense to drink a bunch of fat through a straw 5 times a day and limit your protein intake. It simply doesn't make sense, okay? Jackie Smith, 10 points for the stellar use of lambasted. I don't even know how to say it. Now I can't say it right. Best drinks when fasting: water, coffee, green tea. There really is no better, best, I guess. You want to limit it. Be careful with teas because some teas aren't listed correctly, and they'll have ingredients that you don't want in them. But for me, it's water, black coffee only. That's it. Now this depends. Like if you are dealing with significant leaky gut issues or something like that, I could do something like a bone broth fast with you. But again, depends on the individual. But if we're just talking about liquids, I mean, you really want to keep it to water, maybe black coffee. Some people even argue that you shouldn't do black coffee in a fast. I'm not in that camp. I haven't found the research to really tell me that. I think black coffee actually helps a fast in terms of autophagy and things like that, some of the anti-aging effects and some of the fat loss effects as well. I think black coffee is great. So pretty much water, black coffee. Not a huge tea guy. So I don't know all that much. People ask me about tea sometimes. I don't know all that much about it. There's certain teas I'll use for certain things, but not a real big tea guy. I'm more a black coffee guy, but green tea is fine. Black tea is fine. Just don't put any sweeteners or creamer in these things. Or that's what drives me crazy is people like, is coffee okay in a fast? I say yes. And then they add creamer and sugar to it. I'm like, well, that's not coffee now, is it? Come on now, right? Anything like that will break your fast. So keep that in mind and check the ingredients. Always check the ingredients on teas, because especially these teas, there's a lot of like herbal blend teas that stick all sorts of stuff in the ingredients. You got to be really careful. Barney makes dried almond butter powder. That's pretty cool. I did not know that. Lovely. Details matter. Yes, details matter. I'm going to make a t-shirt that says details matter. It's going to be awesome. All right. Alyssa, we make our own too and use local raw honey. Love it for immune support. Justin Nault, would you recommend using monk fruit instead of honey? Is that what you were asking, Tiffany? Well, so here's the thing. That's actually another question that I was going to touch on here is somebody wrote into the AMA section. Sorry, my allergies are going nuts today. And asked me about raw honey. Are there benefits to raw honey? Yeah, I guess so. Some people swear by it for allergies, actually. Some people think it's good for sleep. But really, at the end of the day, when they're talking about the benefits of it, like raw honey can help with sleep, really, and that's just basically giving a good little dose of glucose for your brain to run off of while you're sleeping, while you're fasting. So that can help. Guys like Dave Asprey have talked about that for a long time, of like a little bit of honey, raw honey, and a little bit of like MCT oil before bed helping with deep sleep. I don't know. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. It's probably anecdotal. You could try it yourself. Now, if you're talking about elderberry, like if you're mixing elderberry syrup and raw honey, the thing you got to think about is if you're using it the way I think you're using it, the dose is probably very, very small. But raw honey is no joke. I mean, 1 tablespoon is 16 grams of straight sugar, right? So this is the issue you run into. It's like somebody saying wine has resveratrol. It's good for you. No, that's not correct. You're not correct. Stop saying that. You need to drink about 300 bottles of wine a day to get like even a minuscule dose of resveratrol. So that's the tricky thing with raw honey. It's like, is raw honey good for you? Well, that depends. I mean, because for every tablespoon you take in, you're getting 16 grams of sugar. So it depends on the rest of your diet. If you're wholeheartedly like stone cold Clovis, like doing really well, and you're like, hey, I find that like a half tablespoon of honey and, you know, a tablespoon of MCT before bed helps me sleep. Okay, then you're looking at about 8 grams of sugar, and that's it, right? Okay, if it helps you sleep, cool, go for it. I have no problem with that. But the issue is when it's like, oh, is raw honey good for kids? And then you're just making desserts with raw honey in it all the time and adding raw honey to their food, and they're eating carbohydrates at school all day anyway that you don't even see, and you're just adding sugar. So raw honey is a slippery slope. It's a sticky slope. See what I did there? But really, raw honey is a slippery slope because it's so easy to just go overboard on sugar. It's ridiculous. So it's risk versus reward, the trade-off, right? What else we got? Wait, okay. So see, I'm confused by this, guys. I'm not sure what you guys are talking about. To make your own like syrup for like pancakes? You talking about making syrup for pancakes? Because I'm probably not going to be a fan of that, because it's going to require a ton of honey. And yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. Is that what you're saying? I don't know. Maybe you're talking about honey, and honey is usually paired with ridiculously high carbohydrate foods, even if it is like paleo pancakes or paleo waffles or whatever. So if you're talking about like straight up syrup, that's probably not something that I'm going to recommend to you for usual use, you know? Austin, we know you eat pretty much the same foods every day. Care to share what a typical breakfast, lunch, and dinner looks like in Justin's world? And what has changed during the mass gains protocol? A ton has changed during mass gains. So again, this is tricky. I will share this information with you. I actually have it written down because, I have a question written down because somebody asked me about my grocery list. So I will share that with you. It's much different from mass gains. The biggest thing is I'm taking in very little fat right now. Probably 40% of my daily caloric intake is coming from fat. And I'm taking in like over 20% of my daily intake is coming from carbohydrates and a boatload of protein, a ton of protein right now with this mass gains thing. So I'm not saying that's what you should do. Keep in mind, even my day-to-day, I take in less fat, less dietary fat than I tell clients to, because I have a genetic cholesterol defect, right? So that's just me. I've tested my genetics. I've done the blood work. I've seen the best lipidologists in the country. I understand how my body works. I know what skyrockets my LDL particle number. So I actually eat more protein than most of you do in terms of percentages of calories per day, right? So I eat a lot more protein than the average Joe, usually quite low carbohydrate. Maybe 10% of my daily caloric intake is carbohydrate, and fat's usually somewhere around 50, maybe 55% of my daily caloric intake. Now, mass gains, that's completely different. I'm not going to tell you straight up mass gains macro ratios because this is a program that I'm going to sell. But yeah, things have changed but all right, so let me walk you through a typical day, not mass gains. Because mass gains is nuts. I've already eaten a pound of salmon. I've eaten a venison backstrap. I mean, I've eaten so much food today. It's ridiculous. Multiple protein shakes have already happened. I've eaten scrambled eggs. I've eaten canned salmon on top of the big fillet of salmon that I've had. And I still have more food to eat when I get done with this live. So mass gains, whole different ballgame. But my average day is usually like 5 eggs. Usually eat about 5 eggs a day. So breakfast is usually paleo powder and coffee with some MCT oil, and then I'll have like 5 eggs with sauerkraut, a bunch of kale, frozen kale that I saute. So eggs, kale, sauerkraut, and then maybe half an avocado. Then at some point I'm gonna have grass-fed ground beef for sure, either grass-fed ground beef or ground venison. I'll eat grass-fed beef and venison and a boatload of broccoli, usually a full bag, 10 to 12 ounces of broccoli in one sitting, and I'll usually have more of that later. But again, Austin, remember, like I know you in depth now because Austin was part of the Google Hangout last night. You don't want to do what I do, right? This is where it gets tricky, is I'm very boring. I'm very, very boring. It's literally like the same thing every day. So here, I actually wrote down most of the groceries that I buy so I could share with that person that asked me. They said they were searching for my personal grocery list in the Clovis Academy. So literally, it's beef and venison. Those are staples. I get pasture-raised eggs. I get wild-caught salmon, a bunch of frozen veggies. That's everything from, my veggies are always frozen. That's everything from organic kale, broccoli, sweet potatoes, now that I'm doing mass gains, Swiss chard. Sometimes I'll get spinach. Sometimes I'll get beets. Sometimes I'll get Brussels sprouts, just a boatload of frozen veggies. But then really the only things I buy are the egg, salmon, avocado oil. I get avocados. I always get sauerkraut. I get some cans of wild tuna, MCT oil. I splurge on very expensive extra virgin olive oil. It's like 30 bucks a bottle. Super dark chocolate, usually 95% wicked dark chocolate from Taza. Occasionally, I will get pecans, walnuts, or macadamia nuts, but that's just occasionally. And I get coconut aminos. I put coconut aminos and sea salt on everything. That's literally it. Like I have a subscription for coffee beans. I use paleo powder. I buy raw cacao, like raw powdered cacao, and I'll like add it to my paleo powder and coffee. Or sometimes I'll use a little bit of monk fruit and make like a little hot cocoa just with raw cacao powder and like a few drops of monk fruit. I mean, that's really it. Like my entire life is literally beef, venison, eggs, fish, and vegetables. That's it. Like, I'm not kidding. That's it. My sister was in a live video with us, one of the AMAs, I can't remember which one. And she's like, he literally eats the same 4 or 5 foods every single day. Every single day. That's it. I mean, sometimes the biggest changes I have are probably veggies. Sometimes it's Swiss chard. Sometimes it's kale. Sometimes it's broccoli. I buy cauliflower. Sometimes I get multicolored cauliflower is really cool. I'll do beets. But again, these are all frozen, just bagged and frozen because it's super convenient. When I get fresh produce, I let it go bad. And frozen produce is usually organic. Frozen produce is fresher than the produce that you're getting in the produce section that's deemed fresh. This stuff has been on a truck shipped from whatever state it came from in the wide open air through multiple different climates as it's passing through states over the past 3 weeks before you get your hands on the asparagus, right? Think about it that way. So everything I do is frozen. I'm super, super boring. Super boring. What else we got? What kind of bacon do you like? Sugar-free, grass-fed? Well, now you're getting confused because bacon's not bacon's, generally speaking, bacon is pork. So it would be pastured pork. And you just want to get hormone-free, non-GMO, you know, not too great. I don't eat bacon every day. So, I mean, it's very, very rare that I buy bacon. And the reason I don't buy bacon is because it's a pain in the ass to cook. I don't like dealing with the grease. I don't like stuff popping everywhere. I mean, just bacon just seems, I don't cook anything for myself that takes more than 10 minutes. Like from the time I turn the stove on to plating the food, it's less than 10 minutes, right? Absolutely. So that's just the way I am with these things. I'd like to know about the pregnancy question you got. Yeah, I'm going to get there. Don't worry. I'm going to answer all these questions. Syrup is inconsistency. Okay, I see what you're talking about. Yes, health syrup. This elderberry thing was very confusing. I'm probably not the elderberry guy to ask about this. What else we got? Why is soy lecithin in everything? Because it's an emulsifier. So you guys got to remember, this is the thing, right? When I wear t-shirts, right now I got my Rocky t-shirt on that I love, but when I wear t-shirts like Eat Whole Foods, Change the World, this is what I'm talking about. And this is why I tell you guys like all the convenience foods and the snack foods and all those things in the approved foods list, that should be called an if you must category. If you must, these should not be staple foods, right? It's like if you're on the go or you're traveling or you're going on vacation or something, take those things with you. If you need something for the kids, you go on a picnic, whatever, I don't know. Eat Whole Foods, Change the World. This is what I mean by it. You guys want the convenience of packaged products. There are certain prices that you have to pay to get packaged products. For example, my paleo powders, I chose to use ground flax, right? Ground flax is basically the emulsifier that I'm using. So what an emulsifier is like, let's say you were to put, let's say paleo powder had no emulsifiers and you put a scoop of paleo powder in a cup of water and walked away and came back 20 minutes later. All the powder would be at the bottom and all the water would be at the top. You need an emulsifier literally for the chemistry of making a product and the mouthfeel and the texture and making it mixable. Soy lecithin is just a really, really popular emulsifier. It's used in like dark chocolate and a ton of different stuff. And it's not going to kill you. It's absolutely not going to kill you, right? I know people freak out about this stuff, but like if you have a 88% dark chocolate bar and you're like, it's got soy lecithin, I can't do it. It's not the end of the world. It's really not, right? I would stick to the approved chocolate brands and the approved foods list. But yeah, people kind of freak out about this. But really, when you're going for packaged food that comes in a package, You got to pay a price to make these things happen, right? All right, what else we got? Thanks for sharing, man. Great stuff. Yeah, I hope that helps. That's literally like my full shopping list. And the beauty of it is that you literally just walk into the grocery store. There's no reason why on the busiest day in the store, it should take me more than 10 minutes in and out, right? I know exactly where I'm going. I know exactly what I'm getting, and that's it. Like the only other things I buy is like sometimes I have to go down the aisle to get like I'll go to Publix because they have coconut aminos. So I have to go down the aisle to get coconut aminos. And like I pass all sorts of bullshit on the way, right? I don't even walk down the aisles of these grocery stores. That's the thing. It's like so rare that I even go to a middle aisle of a grocery store. I just walk around the perimeter, get the eggs, get the frozen produce, get whatever I need, right? It's super, super easy. So that's about what I do. Again, Austin, you gotta be wary of the vegetables, right? So don't do exactly what I do. But yeah, it's different for everybody. What else we got? Microwave, 1 minute per slice. Yeah, bacon is a pain in the ass to me. I mean, sometimes I'll get bacon for myself, but I don't know. I don't like the packaging that bacon comes in. Pisses me off. I really wish that bacon manufacturers would come up with a better packaging system for their bacon because it's annoying, right? Entrepreneurs, get on that. Come up with better packaging for bacon. Should we do resistant starch? Eat some cold rice? No. I mean, so here's the thing, right? Sally, you got to worry about your macro. That's it. All you got to worry about is your macros, right? This is like the stop being a tweaker thing comes in. Don't worry about whatever trend you read somewhere or saw somewhere, or even one of my old AMAs, like AMA number 9, I talk about the potato hack, right? Where you can cook a potato and cool it down and it will be more resistant starch than it will be net carbohydrates. And you can do that trick with white rice as well. You do not need that right now. Literally, the 2 rules, right? When you get your approved foods, your custom plan for me, 2 rules: hit your macros, do it with approved foods lists, with foods from the approved foods list. That's it. Those are your 2 rules. Hit your macros, do it with approved foods. Nice and easy. That's it. So don't worry. I mean, a lot of people, and again, I'm not saying that this is what you're doing, but sometimes what'll happen is they're finding reasons to add carbohydrates. They're finding reasons to add white, high glycemic carbohydrates. White rice is an absurdly high glycemic food, right? It's almost like eating straight glucose. It's almost like eating straight sugar, okay? So to give you guys an example, I utilize white rice while doing mass gains, while trying to gain as much body mass as possible, right? Now, I'm not going to get into that. It's a super biohacking thing. I only do it at a particular time of day. I only do it on certain days. There's a ton to this that I understand, and it's all about GLUT activation and mTOR, right? So I'm not going to get into GLUT transport activation and mTOR with you guys on my muscle cells, right? But these are why I know how to do these things. But you stay away from this stuff, right? Really, if you came into Clovis and the stuff I'm teaching you don't know like the back of your hand, don't even worry about, do I need resistant starch? Do I need this? Keep it super simple. And Sally, I'm saying this directly to you because you have a custom nutrition plan. If you were someone that I didn't know and I'm not working with who doesn't have a custom nutrition plan or anything like that, I might be able to say like, it depends on what you're doing, but I'd probably say just get in and get a custom nutrition plan from me. But really, the simpler, the better. Like, don't overcomplicate things. Like, just be Clovis as consistently as possible for as long as possible. That's what you need to do right now. And then we'll talk about those things down the road. You know what I mean? So that's really what you want to be doing right now, is just sticking to it. What else we got? Wild caught seafood. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. I get wild caught salmon and wild caught tuna. Those are both staples of my grocery shopping list. All right, so let's see what else we got for questions over here. So let's go to the pregnancy question. So the pregnancy question was specifically about a medication called Zofran. I think I'm saying it correctly, which is basically for nausea, morning sickness, and all those things. But it's quite dangerous, particularly if you look up the side effects of this stuff. Zofran, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. I know that you can. I believe it's a prescription medication. I'm not exactly sure, right? I think it's a prescription medication. So when you're dealing with the sickness thing, either it would be morning sickness or nausea randomly. So let's say we're attacking morning sickness. Like, first and foremost, I'm going to tell people to take a really good digestive enzyme, to get a really, like, the best digestive enzyme you can afford. So like Biogest, cream of the crop for me. Get Biogest by Thorne, right? But it's expensive. So if you can afford Now Foods has a super enzymes product, which is also great, much cheaper than Thorne. So Now Foods, N-O-W, Now Foods, super enzymes, another great product. Then you have something like an ox bile, right? Ox bile is super cheap and you can just get it on Amazon, right? That's probably the cheapest of the cheap, is just to get straight up ox bile. Then you have things like apple cider vinegar. You can pick up a big thing of apple cider vinegar for $4 at your local grocery store, like the Bragg's apple cider vinegar with the mother. Do as much of this stuff as you need to, right? Like if you're feeling sick, these are digestive issues that you're dealing with. And a couple things that can kind of work these things up is like eating right before bed. Now, generally speaking, I tell you guys, it really doesn't matter when you eat, if you're hitting your macros and all that stuff. I'm not too worried about it. But remember, and this is another thing where people are going to freak out. They're like, what? This is blasphemy, right? Maybe try lowering your fat intake. So for example, if you're used to eating 60% dietary fat and now you're pregnant and you're still eating 60% dietary fat and you're trying to hit macros or whatever, or you're eating more food and you eat like a bunch of grass-fed beef, let's say at 8 p.m. and then you're asleep at 9 p.m., you're laying on your back. Fat, as we know, takes the longest to empty the stomach. It takes the longest to digest. It's basically the most amount of work for the digestive system. Now, if you're a healthy person, that's totally cool, right? But the gallbladder kicks in and the gallbladder regulates the concentration of the bile that's coming from the liver, sprays it out to your stomach to help you digest those fatty acids. That's why when people don't have a gallbladder, we have to be careful about fatty acid digestion. So my advice to you is to help the digestive system as much as possible and then take the strain off the digestive system as much as possible. So I've kind of been pigeonholed into being this 60-30-10 guy, 60% fat, 30% protein, 10% net carbohydrates, because that's what I did the Perfect Paleo cookbook centered around. But remember, this is advice for if I don't know the individual, I'm making a blanket statement with nothing to go off of. 60-30-10 is pretty good for the average person most of the time, right? But there are no blanket statements. So if you're pregnant and you're dealing with this, I might even tell you like, hey, let's cut your fat back to, maybe 50% of your daily intake of calories, maybe 45%. Maybe we up your carbohydrates to 20%, 25%. What did Justin just say? To eat 25% of your daily calories from carbohydrates? Like if you're pregnant, I don't give a crap about weight loss. That's the opposite of what I'm looking for. I don't want a caloric deficit. I want a caloric surplus. I don't care about you losing body fat. I don't care if you gain body fat, right? The number one priority here is the health of the fetus, right? So that's really what we're dealing with here. And we need to think about it from that regard. So again, there are no blanket statements. If you're following like a 60-30-10 macro and you're feeling nauseous, let's adjust that. If you start taking a bunch of digestive enzymes and you still feel nauseous, let's adjust that, right? We absolutely have to adjust. So it's very, very common that when you're not pregnant, you'll be following a nutrition protocol that's very good for you. You get pregnant, this is a giant change, right? We may have to change some things. You're literally not the same person you were before you were pregnant. This goes out the window, right? We have to tweak things. So I'll see this happen a lot with Clovis people where I'll give you an example, right? There's a good little parable about a guy who falls into the whitewater rapids, right? He falls into rapids and he's going to drown. He's going to die. But he grabs a log and he holds onto this log and he floats on the log and the log takes him through the whitewater rapids and he gets down, gets through the rapids. He survives and all of a sudden he's floating out in a wide open lake and he's floating on his log and he can see the shore and there's no rapids. He just needs to swim to shore, but he can't swim to shore with the log. But his brain is not letting him let go of the log because the log saved his life. He loves the log. He doesn't want to let go of the log. But to grow as a person, to advance his life, he has to let go of this log. This is what I find all the time in Clovis. And I tell you guys about it constantly. And I say to stop being a tweaker. And I say that health is just a stepping stone, right? Don't cling to things that have worked for you because they saved your life, or like for most people, Clovis is the most drastic life transformation they ever have ever. So they're going to cling to that log. Well, I did 60-30-10 macros and it saved my life. I'm going to keep doing this. If you need to tweak, you need to tweak, right? If you're tweaking with me in particular, this is different from the stop being a tweaker episode and deciding for yourself 2 weeks in what you want to change. Like I'll get people that have been 60-30-10 macros, following the same macros for a year. And they're just like, hey, I've kind of plateaued. I'm not sure what's going on. Like, I'm like, you're doing the same thing for a year. You want to change something? Cool. Hit me up. Like, get some new macros. Let's tweak some things. Let's try some physical activity. Let's try this, that, the other thing, right? Don't be afraid to let go of that log, particularly if something really traumatizing to the body happens, like becoming pregnant while you're on this nutrition plan, right? We're going to have to tweak things for sure. So the biggest pieces of advice I could give you, let's cut back the fat intake, maybe increase the intake of a little bit of complex carbohydrates. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving pregnancy advice for anybody. This is not medical advice, right? Digestive enzymes with every meal, at least apple cider vinegar. At least if you have no digestive enzymes, do like 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar at every single meal. Don't eat a bunch of fat before bed, right? So probably try to stop eating at least a couple hours before bed. See if that changes anything. What else we got here? Do we chat with anyone if you sign up for the correct macro? Oh, custom macros? You talk to me directly. Yeah, Mike, you've been in these videos for like months, dude. Buy a plan. What are you doing, bro? If you want to like just work with me one-on-one, it's about as easy as it gets, right? Like I know you're here all the time, so just buy a plan. Go to imclovis.com/start. Like chat with anyone. I'm the only guy at Clovis. It's only me. You chat with me. That's the way that this goes, right? It's a custom nutrition plan for me. I make your plan by hand with my Casio calculator. That's how this goes, right? It's very difficult for scaling. To scale a company is tough when you're the only one making plans. But yeah, the person you chat with is me. All right, what else we got? What non-toxic pans, cookware do you recommend using other than cast iron skillets? Stainless steel, really. It kind of sucks because they you got to put like a bunch of oil in them. It's really hard to make them non-stick. There's this other company that I've been talking to, I can't even remember, Extrema, I think it is, XTREMA. I've been chatting with them behind the scenes because they were on the podcast of my really good friends over at Paleo Valley with Autumn Smith. Very expensive cookware. It is ceramic cookware that seems to be super healthy and non-toxic. So the other thing to remember with cast iron, this isn't a huge problem for most women, but it's actually been a problem for me that I found. My iron is through the roof. I'm supposed to donate blood at least once a quarter just to get, because I have such iron levels, and I cook exclusively on cast iron. And I don't think that's a coincidence. It's just something that I haven't gotten around to changing. But I cook on cast iron exclusively, and I have been doing that for years. So it's like, I don't think that that's a coincidence. Doesn't really bother me, doesn't really scare me or anything. But I'd say ceramic, cast iron, stainless steel, probably as safe as it gets. Anything that has non-stick built into it is chemicals. So you gotta be careful with that. All right, what else we got? I'm gonna see if I had any other questions. Oh yeah, somebody asked me if I have a list. It says, do you have a list of approved products such as deodorant, laundry detergent, etc.? We are looking to lighten our toxin load. And the answer is yes, absolutely. And that can be found at I Am Clovis. Just go to iamclovis.com and click on shop and click on ebooks. And it's literally called the approved products ebook. The comment made me laugh because like, you have a list of approved products. Like that's literally the name of it. It's just the approved products ebook. And it's everything from deodorant to laundry detergent to fabric softeners to, I mean, just everything. And I am looking to update that and expand it. So know that anytime you buy an ebook from me, if there's an update or a change, you get that download for free. So when you buy that specific ebook, it's yours for life. And if down the line I add 30 pages to it, you're just going to get an email that says, hey, there's an update to the ebook you bought. Click here to download the new version, and you get the new version. So I recommend you should go on I Am Clovis and buy every freaking ebook I have, right? I think my ebooks are some of the most valuable content in terms of ebooks I've ever seen, particularly for the prices. Like I think my fasting, the perfect fasting protocol is fantastic for any question you could ever have about fasting and the benefits of fasting and how to do it. Go buy that. The approved products list is fantastic. I have 2 books written specifically just for children. One is The Ultimate Guide to Macros for Kids, how to feed your kids. This should be required reading for parents, by the way. And then how to talk to your kids about weight. If you have a little kid that's obese or fat or something like that, how to talk to them about it, right? Because that's really tricky. And then there's the Perfect Fat Loss Guide, there's the Perfect Fasting Protocol, and obviously the Perfect Paleo Cookbook, which is amazing. I mean, I really would just go buy the suite of Clovis ebooks and I mean, literally change your life with these ebooks. And anytime I update them, you're going to get downloads. If I add recipes to the cookbook, you're going to get a free download for that. You buy it once, it's yours forever. Okay. And little hint, if you go to iamclovis.com/start and you sign up for a custom nutrition plan, you're going to get a very special offer on that cookbook. Hint, hint, right? So go to iamclovis.com/start. get yourself a custom nutrition plan like Mike needs to with me. And once you sign up for that custom nutrition plan, I'm going to give you a super special deal on that Perfect Paleo cookbook. So that's a great way to get your hands on that as well. So how are we looking here? It's almost 9 p.m. Time flies, everybody. I'm trying to think if there's any other. Okay, so there was one question from somebody that said she just wanted to share her story with me. So she is a coach and she's on a meal plan. And she says she successfully lost 45 pounds in 4 months and kept it off for the last 7 months. However, like every other program out there, there's this push to coach and mentor someone and basically make a buck off them. I love sharing my transformation story, but I'm not a salesperson, right? So this is really interesting. I actually like that this person wrote to me because I see this all the time. And some people ask me about that about Clovis when I launched the ambassador program. Here's what I'll tell you. If you're using the program and it worked, you lost 45 pounds in 4 months. Those are great results. You've kept it off for 7 months. Those are great results, right? You don't have to be Clovis. If you have something that's working really well for you, stay there. That said, if the company is pushing you in a direction that you don't like and they're pissing you off, tell them to fuck off. I mean, really, just like if you're going to be part of that program and they're just going to be breathing down your neck and telling you that you need to sell, you need to sell, you need to sell, you need to sell, leave. That's not an organization that I'd want to be part of, right? And I don't require that of Clovis. The ambassador program is completely optional. I don't push you guys to sell. Like if you don't want to, don't, period. I don't care, right? The only reason I did the ambassador program was to make the membership more affordable for you guys because you can make commissions off other members and then your fee each month will be less or will disappear altogether or you can make profit. I did that for you, right? I don't care if you're an ambassador or not. So any program that tells you that you have to sell, I'd probably run for the hills. And the other question that they had was, so this person went on and said that she still has about 15 pounds to lose and said that her son is obese. And she feels really horrible that her son is obese. I'm sorry, this is a very, very long question, so I'm paraphrasing. So we handled the part about your current diet plan. You can take it or leave it, right? Now, the son is obese, and she's saying that they are very low income. So they're asking how to successfully transition into Clovis, and then ask when is it appropriate to start exercising. So we can take this as 2 points, right? How to transition into Clovis. So if you're worried about the cost of it, I want you to understand that the cost is a non-negotiable. You have to be prepared to do that. The cost is beautiful for me because it weeds out the people who are not serious. And I know that sounds kind of rude or kind of mean or whatever, but that's really what it is. Like a $27 a month membership. I know what gym membership fees are. I know what personal trainers cost per session, all these things, right? $27 a month. It's really just there as kind of a way for me to weed out people who aren't serious. That's it, right? So now the other thing is I have a lot of content about grocery budgets and people thinking that eating healthy is too expensive. I want to be super clear about this. Eating healthy is not too expensive. It's simply a matter of allocating budget correctly. So people think that I'm going to walk in and say, you need to increase your grocery budget. That's not what's going to happen. I'm going to tell you to reallocate the funds. If you get rid of all the processed junk, and I'm not saying like just chips and Doritos. Sure, you're going to get rid of chips and Doritos and Oreos and all that stuff. You're also going to get rid of like milk and oatmeal and fruit and these things that you think are health foods that you're buying. You're going to get rid of all of those. You're going to lower your grocery bill quite drastically. Then you can reallocate those funds to Clovis approved foods. So I'm not actually making you spend more money. It's just that very few people are willing in the beginning to just clean out their cupboards and throw away everything that is junk food. Well, I don't want to waste it. I don't want to waste it. If it had a skull and crossbones on it and said toxic, you'd have no problem throwing it away. That's what most of the food in your house is. Throw it away. Bring it to Goodwill if you want to, right? But then you're just poisoning homeless people. So get rid of that food. Stop buying the junk and your grocery bill will go down. That's the best way to transition money-wise. Now to touch on your kid is obese. That's priority number one, numero uno. I don't care if you have to eat like crap to get the kid's weight under control. I don't care. That kid comes first, period. I catch a lot of flack for this. I get a lot of heat online. It's why I've sort of taken a back seat to the childhood nutrition thing because I am very hard on parents. I look parents dead in the face and I say, you know better now. You've met me. You've consumed my content. You know how to feed your kid. If you're contributing to the kid's obesity at this point, that's straight up child abuse. And I wish that that would be handled as child abuse. I really do. That's my take on it. I'm super, super firm on this. I don't care. I don't care who thinks I'm a jerk because of it. It's genuinely, I'm just like, your little kid deserves the best, period. Your kid deserves the best. Your kid deserves to be happy. Your kid deserves to live a long, healthy life free of chronic disease. So you need to do whatever is in your power to handle this obesity problem in your child. That's priority number one, right? So people come to me and their little kid's obese. I'm like, that's priority number one. I don't really care about your goals right now. Sorry, let me talk to the little guy, right? Let me talk to this little dude. And it is your responsibility to get all of the junk out of the house. 100%, 100%. Get rid of it. That's it. This is a non-negotiable, right? It's not fair that your kid's going to have a crappy life going forward because he's not in charge of what goes in his mouth, right? He doesn't walk to the grocery store with his own credit card and buy the groceries, right? So it's just, that's priority number one. So transition to Clovis is just simply an idea of reallocating funds to what's really important. And then the childhood obesity thing, that's priority number one. And I can absolutely, absolutely, absolutely help you with that. Just be aware, like I'm doing this from a place of love. I promise you, I care a lot about childhood nutrition, but I know that I'm very hard to work with. If you want me to work with you and your kids, I do not accept excuses. I don't accept excuses, period, when it comes to childhood nutrition. That's all there is to it, right? So that's my thoughts on that. Hello, I want to get the fasting book. Yeah, Gail, just go to iamclovis.com, click shop, click ebooks, boom, get the fasting book. It's right there. Super, super easy. Or you shoot me an email, justin@iamclovis.com. I'll send you a direct link. I wish that let me see if I have a direct link. I can check here. Let's see. Yeah, I got a direct link right here. Okay, cool. Awesome. So I'm going to share a direct link in the comments. Boom. There you go. Oh, wait, I just did the approved list. Whoops. Okay, you're talking about the fasting book. Okay, let me get you a link for the fasting book. Hold on. Can't keep track of all these ebooks. Let's see. The Perfect Fasting Protocol. There it is. Okay. Let me share this with you. Comment, Perfect Fasting Protocol. Go get it. All right, frozen organic veggies, grass-fed beef went on sale, and lots of seasonings and creativity is how my growing family makes it work in a food desert. It can be done. It 100% can be done. That's it. The people that say it can't be done are simply unimaginative, and it's apathy. It's just apathy. If you swear you can't figure it out or you swear healthy food is just too expensive, you're being lazy. Okay? Sorry. That's all there is to it. Like, you should see the amazing foods I get at Aldi. Like, I walk into Aldi, it's like literally wild caught salmon and organic. That's the cheapest organic broccoli anywhere in town that I've found, anywhere in Nashville. Big giant bags of it at Aldi. It's amazing, right? So the country's coming around, really. Like, granted, I live in like a suburb or whatever, but I'm telling you, you can make this stuff work. I'm telling you, you can make it work. So it's just a matter of priorities and putting effort in. Clovis takes effort, right? It absolutely takes effort, and it should take effort. If it didn't, it wouldn't work, right? I'm literally teaching you how to rebuild your entire life around these ideas of health and wellness. So it's going to be it's called lifestyle intervention for a reason. You're literally going to change the way you live your life, right? All right, so 9:06. Anybody got any questions or anything before we wrap this one up? This was a good little chill, casual episode to just chat with you guys. There's a lot of new people coming into the fold, which is great. So I like to do these particularly for the new people to come in and ask some questions. We got a new comment. What do we got? Hashtag no excuses. Correct. I like that hashtag. That's a good one. That's pretty cool. What else you guys got for me? Any questions before we bounce out of here? AMA number 61. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. You can check out all the AMAs and more at clovis.show. I really, really think you guys will like the episode with Abel that just came out. You can find that at clovis.show/Abel. That is a great podcast. It's all about social media, how social media is basically breaking our brains and ruining human connection. And we talk a lot about life and passion and how to live with purpose. Abel's answer at the end, I ask him just, how to live a better life in general. His answer at the end is simply fantastic. Abel's just a great, great guy to listen to about this. He's from ABC's TV show, My Diet is Better Than Yours, the Fat Burning Man podcast, the Fat Burning Man website. He's an absolute monster. He's super successful. And he has such a unique viewpoint on this because he's lived it through like a meteoric rise of being this huge staple figure in the health and wellness space. So it's really, really cool to talk to him, and him and I are close. So it feels like a conversation. We're just sitting at a dinner table with him and I, and it kind of just feels like you're a fly on the wall, right? It's a really, really cool conversation. So go to clovis.show/Abel. If you guys have suggestions for other people that you want to see me talk to on the podcast. I'm far more of a conversationalist than I am an interviewer, really. I like to just get these people on and talk to them. It's awesome. Aldi and Walmart have gotten so much better. Yeah, that's super true. Most of my frozen veggies are bought at Walmart now. They have a giant organic frozen vegetable section, all great value Walmart brand. Like, it's insane. It's fantastic, right? Judy, really enjoyed Google Hangout. Sign up, people. Yes, sign up for the next one as soon as I launch it. Google Hangout is super fun. It's just like this, except I can see you on video. I can hear your voice. You don't have to be on video if you don't want to, but I can see you on video. I can hear your voice. Everybody gets to hang out, introduce one another, introduce themselves to one another. Really, really cool. It's a really cool way to get I Am Clovis members chatting together as well. Super, super fun. So we'll do the Google Hangout again in April. And until then, I'm going to launch the podcast series with the testimonies from Clovis clients. So email me, justin@iamclovis.com, if you want to be a part of that. Check out clovis.show/able. If you want to work with me one-on-one, go to iamclovis.com/start, START, iamclovis.com/start. Also, I am still running this deal, everybody. If you leave me a review on my podcast, the Perfect Paleo Podcast, the Perfect Paleo Podcast with Justin Nault. If you leave me a review, send me a screenshot to justin@iamclovis.com. I will send you free samples of the Perfect Paleo Powder, 100% free, no shipping, no strings attached, no nothing. I will send you free samples of the Perfect Paleo Powder. Just leave me a review for my podcast. Send me a screenshot of it. I will love you forever. That really, really helps. If we can get the reviews up to over 100, then it's really, really, really going to be super powerful for us, right? If we can get those reviews up to over 100, then I'll be featured on places like iTunes and things like that, and we can really get the word out even more. Okay, it's going to be fantastic. I know we're going to do it. So we're at I think I'm close to 60 reviews right now. So we're really not far off. We can totally pull that off. All right. Anyway, this is AMA number 61. Yeah, see, Amy, she got free samples. Awesome. AMA number 61. I'll name this one on the back end based on the things we talked about and get the show notes set up. This will be at clovis.show where all your AMAs are. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. Become a member, iamclovis.com/start, and you will see me tomorrow in the groups live, or just join the Clovis Academy. I go in there live pretty much every day as well. So always here to chat with you. Always here when you need questions answered. Justin@iamclovis.com. In the future, go to ama.iamclovis.com. ama.iamclovis.com. And ask me questions, and I'll answer them here just like I did with these. All right? Thank you guys so much. Have a good night. Thanks for hanging out. I love you. Bye.